How's it going, everybody? Thank you for tuning into the video. Real quick before we get into it, I want to give a little update on the channel. I'm sorry I haven't been posting as much as I want. I've had a lot of ideas, but unfortunately I got COVID, then straight into midterms, straight into finals, and now I'm just getting over the flu. And I sound a little nasally in this video because I kind of recorded it on the tail end of that, but I'm all good now. Going into Christmas break now, I got a lot of time, I got a lot of ideas I want to get out to you guys. But real quick, just wanted to address, we've actually hit 1,000 subs. That was my goal, is for New Year's to hit 1,000 subs, and we actually are already at 1,300 right now, which has just blown my expectations out of the water. I am so grateful. I am really glad you guys are enjoying the content and want to see more. But I promised you guys 1,000 subs giveaway, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I've put together a little form. It'll be linked down in the description. I've got a few more videos planned in the next few weeks, and I'll of course be linking it with those as well. And it's going to ask you some questions, you know, some very general questions, either having to do with your life or CSGO, like, you know, where are you from? What's your favorite CSGO team, whatever. And I'm going to randomly draw from these forms and kind of make you guys a craft based off your answers. And I think that would be a really cool idea, kind of me acting as Santa, if you will. And I make you your own little crafts and stuff, and then I'm going to send them out to everybody on Christmas Day. I'll also post the video on Christmas Day, at least that's the plan. And I think it would be really fun. The one thing I ask that you don't do is please be honest on the form and don't try to just like be like, I really like ops with dragons on the side of, you know, something like trying to bait me into a specific skin. I just ask that you be honest, and I think you guys will be fine about that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Merry Christmas. I'll see you guys soon, and I hope you enjoy the video. How's it going, guys? Today we've got a Christmas themed mock CSGO case, and real quick before we start looking at the skins, I just wanted to give a little disclaimer. Some of these are more so winter themed than they are Christmas, and the reason this is Valve isn't really keen on putting holiday kind of stuff in the game, and if an artist is going to spend a really long time making us a beautiful skin, they want it to be put in the game. So that's going to lead to more things that are, you know, winter kind of overarching theme, more so than just, you know, an op that's themed after Santa Claus or something, because it wouldn't really have much of a shot of making it into the game. But I would absolutely love to know if you guys have any more ideas for mock cases moving forward. Someone commented on the Halloween video and said I should do a phobia themed case, and I thought that was a really good idea, and it's definitely something I'll look into doing in the future. But if any of you have any other ideas, I'd love to hear them down in the comments, and let's go ahead and get to the first skin. Starting off here, we have the Mag 7 Retro Blaster, and hopefully y'all get why I put this one. I think a lot of us have core memories as children, you know, getting that console on Christmas. At least I do, and I know a lot of my friends do, and Hoxton absolutely knocked it out of the park on this thing. I mean, it looks exactly like an Atari. Even the Mag 7 logo on this thing looks really, really good. It fits perfectly. The writing all over it for buttons and stuff, like, I mean, it just looks really great. I love the pictures he included. The one where he's on Mirage in front of the TV, it looks fantastic. He also gives us some references you can see, and I mean, he just absolutely knocked it out of the park. Sadly, you know, with the wood grain and it's black, it's gonna have to be a blue, but it's an incredibly good skin. I would love to have this in Counter-Strike. Also, I would very much love to know if you guys also have that core memory in the comments. Like, does there a console or even a specific gift you got for Christmas that, like, you know, sticks with you to this day? I would love to hear about it. Next up, we got the UMP-45 Scandinavian. We've got that wood grain pattern making a comeback, but it's a little darker stained on this one, and it works for it. It contrasts the white nicely. We've got almost a sweater-like pattern going across the main body of the gun, little zigzag action on the mag. We even have some really fine details on that rail on the front and on the grip toward the front as well. I think all these colors look really good together. I think obviously it gives Christmas vibes, but just like the last one, despite how much I like this one, you know, with this kind of darker color scheme with the wood and the white kind of being muted and not so bright, we're definitely going to have to make this one a blue. But yeah, I think still a really solid skin, and I would like to see this one in the game. So for the next one, I told you guys in the beginning, I need you to work with me a little bit. I almost replaced this one with something else, but I just like it too much. I don't use the revolver much in game. I mostly use the Desert Eagle, but I would love to have this skin. I think it looks really good. Now, I know a lot of you would say it's, you know, it's solid brown, it's not that cool, but I think he did more than just make this solid brown, and I think we can see that. When you look at some of these pictures on how the light hits on it, it really does make it look like someone carved an R8 out of chocolate, and I think the kind of waffle cone texture on the grip looks really cool. I'm a really big fan of this one. And, you know, the reason obviously I'm putting it in the Christmas case, it's kind of like that sweets, holiday, dessert kind of theme. I think it is really, really cool. And, you know, my reason for putting it in the mil-spec category, as you guys know, very darker toned, but I think it's really solid, and I would love to see it in the game at some point. Next up, we got the MP7 CRYO, and at first I wasn't a huge fan of this one, and what kind of won me over is I like how instead of just one solid pattern across the whole thing, he does kind of vary it up. So if we start at the butt of the gun and the grip, you know, near the trigger, we can see it's really cracked, like super, super cracked. The main receiver really cracked. But if we look at that magazine and we look at the handguard on the front, you know, we kind of have that like pure uncracked ice, almost like you're looking at the ice of like a lake, you know, in Alaska or something that's frozen over. And while we're on that subject, I didn't even notice this my first go around. If we look in that handguard, we can see he actually put a fish frozen inside. I think that's a really nice touch. I think altogether this skin looks pretty solid. Like I said, I think if it was one or the other, you know, fully cracked, fully not cracked, I wouldn't like it as much, but I think that contrast is doing a lot for it. Now, with it being kind of wider, this could be argued to be a purple, I think, but something about that cracking towards the back, how dark it gets, it's still a blue for me. I would love to hear if you guys have anything to say about that. You think it should be a little higher, or maybe you agree with me and think it should be a blue. Let me know in the comments. Next up, we have the AUG Winter. This is definitely a simpler skin. Now, it's also older. This skin was made in 2014, but I like the style a lot. Kind of mixing in the skulls with the snowflakes. It makes sense. If we were going to bring, you know, like a Christmas themed thing to counter-strike this game with all this death and stuff, I think it makes sense. I think the color is nice. The one thing, I might change up the barrel and that top rail. I think the top rail, you know, where we've got these 45-degree angle purple like lines, not a huge fan of that. I think we could come up with something better. Maybe even if we made some of the gun white to kind of match the skulls and contrast the purple a little bit. But I think for this one being old, it's a solid pattern. And I think maybe even pattern based would be really cool on this one. But yeah, with that dark purple, the whites not being too incredibly bright, I think it's pretty easily a mil spec, but I think I would like to see this pattern added to the game one day. Next up, we have the Glock 18 Winter Town. And this one gives me major like snow globe vibes. I really like the town being, you know, shown across the side of the gun. I think we could put this one in a case, but we might need some minor adjustments. So I definitely like the idea of the top slide being like a winter town. I think maybe we add a little bit of snowfall. I also like the snowflake on the magazine. I think that is a really cool idea, but I'm not a huge fan of the blue from the bottom of the magazine and the top slide kind of fading into the black on the grip. I think we could come up with something a little bit more to give it some more oomph, you know, maybe add some color to it. But I do like the idea of kind of like a snow globe themed Glock where we, you know, we have the winter town on the slide, but maybe the bottom we do like some kind of color with some pop to it. I don't even know an example, but I just feel like the black maybe doesn't mix as well. Altogether though, I think this one's still really nice. I think it very much would be a blue. Altogether, I think this one does look good. I think that the winter town across the slide would be hard to implement, but I think the creator did a really, really good job of fitting it to the top of the gun, and I think it fits perfectly in our Christmas case. Now, getting into some purples here. We're starting off strong. We've got the Glock 18 Gingerbread, and we all know why I put this one in here. I do like the idea of a gun that is a cookie, and you know, we kind of have, using normal maps and whatnot, we have that icing kind of popping off of it. I think the patterns are pretty elaborate, but like, you know, also believable that it could be on a cookie, you know. I think this guy did a really good job. I think we're going to see a few things by him. It's by Gent, I believe. I think we have another one of his designs coming up, but he really, really did good on this one. I think the top of the gun looks incredible, and I think it fits perfectly in our Christmas case. And I just told you guys on the Glock that I thought Gent had another one in here, and here it is. It's the Desert Eagle Winter Flower. Now, I really, really love this design. You know, definitely the color scheme he uses, we're getting winter vibes for sure. Now, this does look like the Desert Eagle. I can't remember the name of it out of the Rising Sun collection, but I think I like this one more. I think if we look at this pattern, we're really getting some of that like white color for the texturing coming out, and I think it adds a lot to this. It almost reminds me of like a blanket or something, and I think that's really cool. I also like everything's kind of outlined in black. It makes it pop a little more. I would love to see the texture file for this and, you know if we've got some random patterns going on. Gotta mention too, you know, the top sights and the bottom of the magazine kind of being a different color. I think that really adds to it. We can actually see as it gets more and more battle scarred, you know, the gun starts to kind of turn the color of the sight too, which I think actually looks pretty good. Next up, we've got the MAC-10 Gift, and he did two color schemes in this one. He did a black and a red, but I chose the red. And I originally had this one as a blue in our case, but I decided to bump it up to a purple because I really, really do like the skin. I think the red and the white are pretty vibrant, honestly. We can also see he did include our texture pattern for this one. It's very simple, but I think it works great. And I think what really makes this gun pop is the use of mapping to really make it look like, you know, it is a MAC-10 that has been wrapped up. You know, we're seeing through the little tears in the paper, the MAC-10 underneath. I think it's a super good idea, and I think it was executed really well as well. Even if we look at, you know, the wrapping itself, it looks very, very textured. It just feels high quality to me. And I think this is a perfect skin for a Christmas collection. So our next skin, we've got the AK-47 SHATTERPOINT, very similar to the MP5 we saw earlier. And this one almost gives me like Valorant skin vibes, you know? That main body of the AK is just totally frozen. Looks like it's just been out in the weather for a while, just completely frozen and snowed over. And my favorite part about this one, and what made me want to put it in here, is the detail on the wood. You know, normally when we see something like this, you know, you might say it was kind of low effort, whatever, because the wood would normally just be the same. Maybe they change the color, but I think the snow around the edges, it really makes it look like somebody picked this up and, you know, kind of wiped the snow off of it a little bit and started going. I think the wood made it for me. I think this one would make for some really cool sticker crafts as well if we were to see it in the game. What I want to know from you guys though is, do you think this is a purple? Now, I realize with the, the main body of the gun kind of being a little brighter, you could probably make the argument this is a pink, but just something about how like beat up it looks. Like, this is a gun that's been weathered. I just can't see it being higher than a purple. I would like to hear what you guys have to say about that. The next skin we have is the P250 Candy Mountain Ice. I really, really love the vibes of this one. It's like a bunch of candy and sweets and stuff kind of frozen into this P250. I really like how on the handle of the gun, where the magazine would be put in, we can see the bullets kind of freely floating frozen in it. I also really like the design of the little, monsters, animals and stuff across the top body of the gun. And I was 100% sure that the guy that made, the Glock that's in game that has like the French fries and all the fast food stuff on it, I was so sure he made this because it's very similar to that. But it actually isn't. This is made by the guy that made the Sugar Skull capsule, and I think it's really cool. I think it definitely fits our winter theme with the snowflakes and, the main body of the gun being ice. And as our first pink, I think it fits the bill pretty well with these bright neon colors kind of all over it, and I would love to see it in the game at some point. Next up, we have the Winter J USP-S, and I really like this one because of the colors. Now, obviously, why I picked it because of the winter theme, but I really think that blue jay on the side is worked in very well. And the reason I say that, I love when an artist tries to make, let's use Brock as an example, the Hyper Beast creator. I really love how he makes his monster fit to the gun, and I really like how, he'll use the tongue as the trigger or whatever. This bird is kind of thrown on there, but I feel like it works really well, and breaking it up with that kind of red band going all over. And then we also just have kind of tree branches sticking out everywhere. It gives great contrast. Obviously, we still have the bird as the focal point, and it looks great, kind of in a more simple style, but I think it still really looks good. And like I said, the branches and the red breaking everything up, I think it makes a really beautiful skin. Even if we look down toward the handle, we can kind of see like a cottage tucked away. I think it's a really good addition. I think if this were added to the game, I would definitely be selling my Menwear USP-S wide out and be picking one of these up. But you guys let me know what you think about it in the comments. And for our last pink, I decided to use the M4A1S Winter Sakura. I think this skin is absolutely beautiful. I think the color scheme is great. Now, I would like to point out, I think this skin would look so much worse if we didn't have that pink toward the front. I think that really brings it all together. I think the blossom petals across the gun, adding some color to that white. And also, if we look closely, we kind of have the pattern in gray, on the white, and it just adds more texture to it. Really makes the snake and the blossoms pop. I think the snake is beautifully shaded, and it just all looks great. I mean, it's like kind of like a Japanese winter vibe, and I'm really here for it. I think people would really like to see this one in the game, but also I think there could be an argument for this one being a red. Obviously, I originally had this one as a red, and I had to move it down because I was kind of scaling down this case because I was unable to find enough stuff. But you guys let me know if you agree with that decision or not. And finally, for our red, I have the Ops Snowman. I think this is an incredible skin. And, when it came down to picking the Sakura or this one to be the red, I think it's no contest. We got to go with the Snowman. I mean, just the art on this thing goes absolutely crazy. If we forget about the snowman for a minute and even look at the barrel, I mean, we've got this really cool design extending all the way down the barrel. Even look at the, the bipod on the bottom. I think the color pops beautifully on that. And then as we work our way down to the main body of the gun, we've got this wicked snowman. It looks like some kind of snow spirit has possessed it, that being that lighter blue color we're seeing. He's pulled his nose off with his gnarly little wooden hands. It just looks so good. And even if we look at the part of the op, where your thumb would be if you were holding it, that handle, I think the detail around that looks really, really cool. And as we work our way to the butt, you know, we have that blue spirit, as I called it, coming back, and the detail just looks absolutely incredible. And we can work our way up to the scope too, where we see we've kind of got a wood that matches our hands on the snowman, and it just fits perfect. I love at the front too how he chose to not take the wood all the way to the end of the scope, and it kind of breaks up and lets that blue show through. Really, really great choice. Really, really love this skin. And I don't think anyone out there could look at the skin and not think that these artists put a ton of time into it. I mean, they just absolutely knocked it out of the park. And I think personally, it is very, very deserving of the one red slot we have in this video. And I think when we look at a skin like this, the first thing that comes to my mind is that these artists absolutely knocked it out of the park on this one, and it's for that reason that I think it very, very well deserves the one red slot in this video.
Boys, leave Slumbaba some love. Always high quality videos right there. Leave a sub, put on the bell. Cha-ching, ping. Yeah, easy peasy. Good guy, good guy.